Welcome to the road to 1 million US dollars. Let's get right into the Bitcoin chart for today, starting on this 1 day time frame for Bitcoin, because as you can see, we are now getting a bit of a warning signal flashing for Bitcoin on the 1 day time frame, with the MACD indicator crossing back into bearish territory. Now, why is this a warning signal? Well, as you can see right here, the previous 3 times that this happened, it was followed by a big move to the downside, with the most extreme example of this being the most recent one, where we dropped 26% to the downside. The time before that, we saw about a 23% move to the downside after crossing into bearish territory once again. And the time before that, it was technically a 19% move to the downside. However, we actually saw a bit of a pump in between. So that also goes to show that this MACD indicator that you can rely on for your technical analysis here. So for now, this is starting to look more bearish on the 1 day time frame. And one other thing I want to point out, which is also something that I've been talking about quite a lot recently, is this strong downtrend on the 1 week RSI momentum indicator for Bitcoin. Because as you can see, this is also in a clear downtrend. And so long as we do not break out of this, then obviously this is going to continue to make lower highs and lower lows until it eventually breaks out at some point. But so long as it doesn't happen, then we are just technically in a downtrend. Now, so long as we keep trading around this 50 level on the 1 week RSI, then we will continue to see some sideways momentum in the market here. However, if we start going far below this 50 level, then we will see bearish momentum in the market. So that is something to potentially prepare for as well, especially now that we see this MACD indicator cross into bearish territory once again. Although for the bulls out there, I do want to say that at some point, I do think we are going to break out of here and start making higher highs in this RSI. And we will see a continuation to the upside for the bullish momentum. However, for now, we are just going to see sideways and bearish momentum. At least that is what the technical analysis is telling us for now on the higher timeframes. But keep in mind, guys, that there is also a difference between the different time frames. So we can be in a high time frame downtrend while being in a low time frame uptrend. This is the 30-minute time frame where this was a clear uptrend, even though technically the higher time frame is pointing down. Okay, so understand that if I am bullish one day and bearish the other day, this is not me flip-flopping. I am just talking about different time frames. And if you want to learn more about how all of this works, I actually created a full trading course where I share everything about how I do my technical analysis in these videos. And it is completely free. You can just watch it by clicking the link in the video description. You just sign up with your email and then you can watch it for free. Regardless, let's now move on to the short term for Bitcoin. So we're talking about the 4-hour time frame. And recently we saw this bullish divergence confirm on the 4-hour time frame. We got a bit of a move to the upside. This was about 2% to the upside here, but then saw a rejection from the 0.5 Fibonacci level, sitting at 59.5K. And after that, we saw this bullish divergence invalidate. And as I said yesterday and the day before that as well, if this bullish divergence invalidates, then this opens the door to more bearish price action once again. So for now, we are seeing more bearish price action in the short term as well as on the higher time frames. In terms of support on this 4-hour time frame, we can take a look at the Fibonacci levels once again. For example, we have some short-term support here at 57K. And we have the 0.236 Fibonacci level, which is sitting at 54,000 US dollars, roughly speaking. I think it is a bit too early to start talking about 54K, but we can definitely say that we should expect some short-term support here at 57,000 US dollars. Now taking a look at the support and resistance levels on this 4-hour time frame. Right now, Bitcoin is dipping into this big level of support, sitting from 58,000 all the way down to 56,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And what I must say, guys, is that if we lose 56,000, then this will likely have bearish implications for Bitcoin, because the next big level of support below that is sitting from 53,000 all the way down to 50,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. Okay, so make sure to watch this big level of support next week. And in terms of resistance to the upside, we have this big level of resistance right here, sitting from 60,000 all the way up to 62.4K. And on this time frame as well, we still have this 0.5 Fibonacci level acting as a level of resistance at 59.5K. Now, there is one thing that could be bullish here in the short term, which is this CME gap that was created at 59,000 US dollars for the Bitcoin price. And right now, as I'm recording this video, Bitcoin is trading at about 58,000 US dollars. So you might see the price trade back up somewhere in the following week to fill that CME gap at 59K. Hopefully it is early in the week, so we have some clarity on what is actually going to happen next for the momentum, because it is always pretty awkward if you get a big move down, you have a big CME gap here, and then everyone is kind of confused if we are going lower or if we first need to fill the CME gap. So personally, I'm hoping that the CME gap gets filled quite quickly, because it makes it much easier to anticipate on what is going to happen next. But for now, it is definitely something to keep in mind, because most of the CME gaps actually get filled. So that is something to look out for in this following week here as well. Next, taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. First of all, on this 1 week time frame, as you can see right here, we have a lot of liquidity to the downside at about 57.4K. So this is quite close to the price, and therefore it would not be crazy to see Bitcoin grabbing this liquidity to the downside here. However, we also have quite a bit of liquidity to the upside. For example, right here at about 60,000, and even more liquidity sitting at 62.6K, roughly speaking. So obviously, recently, a lot of people have been shorting Bitcoin here. We're talking about over $500 million worth of short positions that would get liquidated if the Bitcoin price reaches these levels again. However, if we zoom out to the 1 month time frame, right here, you can see that, in fact, most of the liquidity here is to the downside on this specific time frame, sitting from 57.5K all the way down to 55.5K, roughly speaking, potentially even 54.5K. So Bitcoin might need to come down and grab all of this liquidity here before we can talk about another move to the upside. And lastly, taking a look at the 3-month time frame for Bitcoin, here you can see that again we have a lot of liquidity to the downside on this time frame as well, but in fact most of the liquidity is to the upside, sitting at 70.5K. So obviously a lot of people are still shorting Bitcoin, as I said previously, and my base case remains that at some point we are going to grab this liquidity to the upside at about 70,000 US dollars, assuming that we actually hold this descending channel as a level of support. So my base case would not change if we keep trading inside this range for the rest of the year here. I would still think that at some point we are going to break out to the upside and come up to grab all of this liquidity at about 70,000 US dollars. However, the point of invalidation is also very clear, because if we would trade below this descending channel here, for example, on the 1 week time frame, really getting confirmed candle closes below, so not a wick or something like that, then yes, I would be flipping much more bearish for Bitcoin on the higher time frames as well. But for now, my personal opinion is that we are just consolidating inside this range, and I will continue to repeat this over and over again until we actually see some kind of breakout either to the upside or to the downside. But for now, it is just consolidation. And in my personal opinion, yes, the bull run is still on. I still think that we are going to make higher highs at some point. We have not entered into the bear market yet, because my base case has not been invalidated. Now, if you disagree with this and you think we have already entered into a bear market, now, if you think we already entered into a bear market and we're going to 30K or something like that, just go open your short trade. But for me personally, I will wait to see a technical breakdown of my base case idea, because I need to have some kind of base case scenario to actually make sense of all the price action here. So that is just the way that I am personally playing the market. But of course, you can think something differently and analyze the charts in a completely different way. That is the beauty of the market here. Anyways, this has been today's market update. Thank you very much for watching. Once again, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm really trying to reach 5,000 subscribers. We are getting very close at this point, so I would appreciate it if you can subscribe. Regardless, if you do end up subscribing or not, thank you for watching once again, and I will see you tomorrow in the next one.